Good morning. Hello, everybody. So, in the previous class, I spoke to you something about protein energy malnutrition or undernutrition, how it is classified, and what is the extent of the problem in our country, and what are the social reasons, social causes, environmental causes, and nutritional causes which are responsible for undernutrition. One point you have to remember that whether it is kwashiorkor or Erasmus or anemia or B complex deficiency, all these things are calcium deficiency, whatever they may be. All these things are basically because of one reason, that is food. Because of one reason, a food which is rich in protective elements, that is things such as fruits, vegetables, and non-vegetarian items such as eggs, mutton, milk. In fact, India has been a subsistence economy, continues to be a little bit more than subsistence economy nowadays, especially some 5 crores or 6 crores of our population are having relatively more access to this, what I have mentioned as protective foods. Now, anemia is mainly because of deficiency of iron, all of you know that, and this deficiency in turn is due to the absence of protective foods in the diet of Indians. This is number one. And second is, in the previous class also, I have outlined between an interrelationship between infection and undernutrition. So, here, with respect to anemia, what you have to remember is that probably here diarrhea may not be the causative factor, or pneumonia may not be the causative factor. Here the causative factors are parasitic infestations, remember, especially hookworm infestation. So with these few introductory words, now we will look into the epidemiology of anemia. So we preventive medicine people, we very frequently speak about epidemiology. What is epidemiology? Epidemiology is nothing but study of distribution of the disease, determinants of the disease, not only disease but any other event in a given population. That is what we call as epidemiology. So now definition of epidemiology, this will be the contents of my lecture today. Definition of epidemiology, introduction, global overview, Indian burden, social determinants of anemia, and a little about thalassemia and sickle cell anemia. If I find time, I will cover those things also. So what is defined epidemiology? Epidemiology is distribution, determinants, health-related states or events. That may be even accidents. Or that may be even absence of food security. Or it may be any other thing. It may be just a pregnancy, which is normal, which is considered to be a normal pregnancy, but which causes a lot of blood loss and aggravation of already precarious iron reserves that are there in the mother, and all those things, they will come in due course of time and in a specified population. And it can be applied to control of the specific health problems, the knowledge of epidemiology. So, adverse effects of anemia. Now, why we are so bothered about anemia and why we should single out anemia for discussion? Why not riboflavin deficiency? Why not folate deficiency? Why not some other deficiencies? It is because it causes reduced physical development, just like undernutrition. It causes reduced physical development, and as a result, it will be causing decreased work output by the persons and decreased work capacity. And it also causes impaired sexual and reproductive development. That is, amongst the women, irregular menstruation, low pre-pregnancy iron stores, and that leads to low birth weight babies and preterm delivery. And when this baby, especially a girl baby, again is subjected to a process of undernutrition with respect to the protective foods, that is iron deficient foods, and she is also exposed to the risk of worm infestations. So ultimately, when the girl becomes an adolescent, she starts losing blood in the form of monthly menses or menstruation. So, but there is no sufficient iron in the food to for the repletion. So again, there is another factor, that is usually in our country, girl children get married before the age of 16 years or almost at the age of 16 years, 18 years, when they are not their body is not yet prepared for reproductive life. And they enter into this cycle of pregnancy or reproductive cycle relatively early and relatively illiquid. So as a result, once again, the baby is born at low birth weight. And again the whole vicious cycle repeats. This is, in a nutshell, what we call as life cycle of anemia. In the very beginning, when your minds are fresh and when you are listening to me attentively, I want to tell. There is a life cycle of anemia. So no age group is exempt from anemia. Infant is having anemia. Under 5 child is having anemia. And then school children also will have some degree of anemia. And then adolescent is having anemia. And then offspring again are having anemia. So don't be under the impression. It's a very, very difficult problem. Probably nearly 43% is varying degrees again, depends on the socio-economic status. 43% to 70% of Indian women suffer from anemia. Excuse me. And again, anemia, I was mentioning about preschool child and school child and adolescent. What will it cause? Diminished concentration, disturbance in perception, and poor learning ability. So this is nothing but all these fellows, undernutrition and anemia, they are all cousins. They coexist actually. So over the past decade, anemia has emerged as a risk factor that is associated with a variety of adverse outcomes. The epidemiology of anemia and aging in general is particularly challenging because of increased heterogeneity in the distribution of social and biological risk factors with advancing age. So anemia, a manifestation of undernutrition and poor dietary intake of iron, is a serious public health problem among pregnant women, infants, young children and adolescents. This is what I have been emphasizing in my introduction also. So, classification of anemia as a problem of public health significance. So, this is less than 4.9% of the population. If they are not anemic, then that is below 5%. That is other 95% are okay. They are not having anemia. Then it is not a public health problem. So, 5 to 20%. Okay, that is 80%. 80% are okay and 20% are not okay. That is mild public health problem. And then, this is how we classify. And then 20 to 40%. So moderate public health problem. And above 40%, that is where we are. It is a severe public health problem. So diagnosis and assessment of So again, how to classify anemia in an individual? So 6 to 15 months, the cutoff point is 11 or above or equal to 11. And then 5 to 11 years, the cutoff point is 11.5. 12 to 14 years, the cutoff point is 12. And female, more than 14 years, again, cutoff point is 12. Pregnant woman, because of hemodilution, some amount of lowering of the hemoglobin, some amount of lowering of the hemoglobin percentage as calculated by deciliters of plasma, per deciliters of plasma, it will be a little bit less. That is physiological. So that's why, again, the cutoff level comes down to 11. And in male, it should be above 30. So that is, if these are the different cutoffs. So again, depends on now the degree. So 10 to, you can see in a child, 10 to 10.9 is mild anemia, 7 to 9.9 is moderate anemia and severe anemia. And so 5 to 11 years again, so many these things, these are the certain things which you should keep always in your mind, and in fact under your desktop or in the because which person is anemic, which person is not anemic, it is very difficult to tell. Just because somebody is from good socioeconomic status, you can't say that person is not anemic. And again, this anemia cutoff points and classification is age specific and gender specific. These are the things which you should keep in your mind. Now, public health significance of anemia. Now, let us look at the global picture. So, no preschool age children. It is not a public health problem in preschool age children, pregnant women, and non-pregnant women. There is only 2 countries where preschool age children do not have anemia. And non-pregnant women, see what a revealing slide this is. So non-pregnant women not being anemic or adequate amount of hemoglobin, only 1 country is there. See, I have already projected the public health classification in the first slide. Again, I will go back to that. This one. So, prevalence of anemia less than 4.9%, no public health problem. So, this kind of a fellow, there are only 2 countries. And now, mild anemia, 40 countries, 40 to 59 countries. And moderate anemia, 81 to 78 countries. Severe, 69 to 54. So, we fall into this bracket of 69 countries, where anemia is a very severe problem. That is, more than 40% of the population have anemia. That is the severe public health problem. So, we are in that category. Now, so again, what I have told in my introduction, adolescent enters reproductive age with low iron stores, and now that results in pregnant women with anemia, and also lactating women with anemia, and a baby with low iron and Hb levels, infancy and preschool child, that results, and then uncorrected anemia in the childhood, and adolescent with low iron and Hb levels, and this adolescent gives birth. And again the cycle. So this is what we call as life cycle of anemia. This point you should, it is the bounded responsibility of our preventive medicine persons to make you understand about this life cycle of anemia in a given population. We are in that severe category because this life cycle we are unable to interfere effectively with this life cycle. So global WHO global database on anemia for 1993-2005 estimated the prevalence of anemia worldwide at 2.25%. So in the Western countries, it is relatively low prevalence, and in our country, different regions have different kinds of prevalence. So estimated prevalence: high development countries 9%, low development countries 43%. Africa and Asia account for more than 85% of the absolute anemia burden in high-risk groups. High-risk groups is pregnant women, adolescents, and old mainly. So global role: 56 million pregnant women, 468 million non-pregnant women, and 293 million children of preschool age. All these contribute to 1.62 billion. That is nearly more than 20% of world's population. That is already 25%. Already that figure is there. So, children and women of reproductive age, child 1 to 5 years, 47% of them are anemic. And then pregnant women are 42% anemic. And non-pregnant women, 30% are anemic. So this is how the picture is, a very, very depressing picture. So prevalence of anemia, percentage, preschool age, percentage is 47.4. Now this table a little advanced for you, I won't elaborate on this. So you can see this map, and also India rounded off. We are with Sub-Saharan Africa, Brazil, and then Bolivia, Peru. So we are the happy-go-lucky persons. So global estimates of the prevalence of anemia in infants and children, you can see separately. So this kind of a problem is not severe. In our country, it is 49 to 59.9% of children suffer from anemia in our country, whereas Pakistan, more than 60% children suffer. So, prevalence of anemia in children, very high prevalence, is specific characteristic of Sub-Saharan Africa and then Pakistan and Afghanistan and Bangladesh. This is a little bit outmoded, probably present situation may be relatively better. Global estimates of the prevalence of anemia in women of reproductive age group. So here we are in the red. And when the child grows up, that population group, again they get into red and on par with Sub-Saharan Africa. And again, prevalence of anemia, pregnant women aged 15 to 49 years, again same situation. Prevalence of anemia, non-pregnant women, again same situation, that is we are with Pakistan, Bangladesh, that is subcontinent, we are with Sub-Saharan Africa. So, prevalence of anemia in India and neighboring countries. So, Bangladesh 47, severe, Bhutan 80%, and then India 74%. And Nepal 78%, Pakistan 50.9%, Sri Lanka 29.8%. 9%. So, in our region, so that is what we call as SARC countries. So, only Sri Lanka is in the moderate group, whereas all the other countries are in the severe groups. India is among the countries with high prevalence of anemia in the world. 7 out of every 10 children aged 6 to 59 months are anemic. This point I want to emphasize. Most of us have a tendency to think that only the pregnant women suffer from anemia. But it is not the case. Even children, they suffer from anemia. 7 out of every 10 children aged 6 to 59 months are anemic. Children aged 6 to 59 months, 3% are severely anemic, 40% are moderately anemic, and 26% are mildly anemic. It is estimated that anemia directly causes 20% of maternal deaths in India and indirectly accounts for another 20% of maternal deaths. Indirectly, it can cause, direct means anemia leading to severe anemia leading to congestive heart failure. And indirect means same anemia causing postpartum hemorrhage. These are the two things which you should. Postpartum hemorrhage is after pregnancy. If a woman bleeds more than 500 ml, especially during the first 48 hours and even afterwards also, up to the 42 days, then we will call it as postpartum hemorrhage, and it is one of the leading causes of maternal deaths in our country. Prevalence of anemia among pregnant women. So, 26% of pregnant women have mild anemia, 31% moderate anemia, and severe anemia only 2%. But 2% in India is a very big figure. That you should remember. That is 2 crores. More than 2 crores, in fact. 3.4 crores. 2.6 crores, sorry. The prevalence of anemia among different age groups. 6 to 35 months, 79%. 6 to 59%. The 6 to 59 months, 69.5%. All women, 55.3%. Ever married women, 56%. Pregnant women, 58.7%. Lactating women, 63.2%. And adolescent girls, by and large, the picture. And what I want to emphasize, and why most of us tend to think that children, there will not be the problem of anemia. No, that is not wrong. That is a mistake. They are as much prone to anemia as their mothers. In fact, you can see, as the child becomes a little bit more ambulant, and when the problem to some extent subsides actually, because they partake in naturally available foods, that is seasonal foods. So this age-wise distribution, male and female, you can see pronounced gender difference here. In age group, more females are affected. Prevalence of anemia in children in selected states according to National Family Health Survey. You can very easily tell which are the states. Bihar, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh. At least mercifully, Telangana state doesn't figure in this. So, here is an interesting slide again. So, what is, so you know that normally iron is stored, iron is transported, and the iron is made use of in the manufacture of hemoglobin, and it is through hemoglobin it is impregnated into RBC. So then iron depletion and then iron deficient erythropoiesis and then iron deficiency anemia. So you should always remember that there is always a constant iron depletion. Even in the normals, even in male also, to some extent. Because RBC's longevity is only 90 days. And then as RBCs die, new RBCs come into existence. So the body constantly requires iron, and that iron is supposed to be dietary iron, and we don't supply sufficient dietary iron, so iron. So that is the reason why there is iron deficiency erythropoiesis, and then next is iron deficiency anemia. You can see this thing. Nice, very nice diagram. So iron deficiency anemia, global burden. Again, I don't want to repeat the figures and confuse you. Estimated percentage of anemia prevalence 92 to 95 based on blood hemoglobin concentration in India. Non-industrialized countries, let us say, I am not bothered about industry. You can see, you can observe the contrast. Elderly, 12, 45. Men, 4.3, 30. All women, 10, 42.3. And pregnant women, 22.7. Very, very dreadful contrast this is. Indian scenario. So again, we can see the urban-rural difference also. So in the urban areas, anemia among the children, urban and rural, everywhere it is relatively more. We need not be very happy because urban children are doing well. No, the figures are self-explanatory. 56% in children, 51% in non-pregnant women, 45% in pregnant women, and then only one thing is 18.4% or 18.5%. So prevalence of anemia in children. In selected states according to National Family, again, I don't want to go into this, iron deficiency anemia contributes to more than 50% of anemia in our country. There are, you must know, there are what we call as megaloblastic anemias, then microcytic anemia, microcytic hypochromic anemia, megaloblastic anemias, and then hemolytic anemias, which are hereditary in nature. Already, probably somebody would have told you, even in biochemistry, they would have talked about conditions such as thalassemia, that is hemoglobin structure here. Hemoglobin structure is somewhat different, and then sickle cell anemia. So all these things. So, but the main cause is in our country as far as So, as far as our country is concerned, the main problem is iron deficiency anemia. It contributes to more than 50% of anemia in our country. So, now what are the determinants of anemia? So, I have already told you epidemiology is nothing but distribution and determinants of disease in a given population. So, what are the determinants of anemia? Iron deficiency commonly develops after 6 months of age if complementary foods do not provide sufficient absorbable iron, even for exclusively breastfed infants. Breast milk has got some amount of iron in the form of lactoferrin. But after breast milk, cow milk doesn't contain, or buffalo's milk, cow milk, none of this milk contains iron. And he takes main source of iron in our foods is just a very, very meager nutritive value, rice. As far as anemia is concerned, iron is concerned, very meager amounts are there, meager amounts of iron are there in the rice, but the main source is rice for all of us, in fact. not even having that source. That is the reason why you find higher prevalence of anemia amongst the children. I have been time and again emphasizing this throughout this lecture. Peak during preschool years and puberty, and second peak during old age. More the birth order, more is the incidence of anemia. Birth order is, if the baby is first, probably the chances of his getting anemia are relatively less, and if the baby is fourth birth order, the fourth child, the chances are more. Gender. Following menarche, adolescent females often do not consume sufficient iron to offset menstrual losses. As a result, a peak in the prevalence of iron deficiency frequently occurs among females during adolescence. Education. Lower the literacy, higher the chance of developing anemia. Socioeconomic status. Iron deficiency is most common among groups of low socioeconomic status. Environmental factors, poor hygiene, especially here. Let me emphasize poor hand hygiene, actually, especially amongst the under fives. The under five goes and plays in the mud, and there are a lot of worms are there, especially roundworms. So those roundworms, the eggs of those roundworms get into the fingernails, and then he puts it in the mouth and again gets infected and acquires ascariasis. Ascariasis, one worm will consume a lot of food. I am unable to recollect how much food, but already changed meager food supply, these worms are consuming. So that is the situation poor hygiene produces. And then poor sanitation. You know, say in our country, open field defecation is quite common. So thanks to this Swachh Bharat and things like that, it is becoming relatively less. So naturally, hookworm infestation occurs. So barefoot walking, and then unsafe drinking water, and rural versus urban differences. Social factors. Early marriage. Median age of marriage in India is 17.7 years. Percent married by 18 years is 15 years, 58%. You can see 58% of Indian women, they get married by the age of 18 years. Prescribed age is 18 years. All these people are doing something wrong. In fact, what government has prescribed is minimum age is 18 years. Now, you can see from this figure, 58% of the women are married before the age of 18. I have already told you, unless and until that our body matures, she will not be able to tackle the burden of childbearing and childbirth. Median age at first birth is 20 years. Percentage of adolescents who have begun childbearing is 16. 16% of adolescents, they become pregnant before the age of 18 years. So given diet may be low in iron or may contain adequate amounts of iron which are of low bioavailability, especially the iron from vegetable sources is relatively less bioavailable because of the presence of phytates and phosphates in vegetarian diet. So they chirate the iron and the iron is eliminated through gut. So that is the relatively low bioavailability. Other nutrients necessary for hematopoiesis may also be deficient. Those include folic acid, vitamin A, B12 and C, protein and copper and other minerals. So these are the host factors actually. folic acid deficiency, it will cause a kind of a dimorphic anemia, where the RBC are pale, hypochromic, and the inside of the RBC is very large. That is megaloblastic. So both the features of megaloblastic anemia and iron deficiency anemia or hypochromic anemia, both are combined in that. That is why it is called as dimorphic. And then vitamin A, B12 and vitamin C, especially vitamin C, facilitates absorption of iron from the gut, and protein and copper and other minerals, and malabsorption. Malabsorption is because of diarrhea and so many other things. So low iron stores at birth due to anemia in the mother, non-exclusive breastfeeding. That is the reason why we say breastfeeding has got lots of virtues, and every child should be breastfed at least up to the age of 6 months, and preferably up to the age of 1.5 to 2 years, because the mother's breast feed is a valuable source of iron to the child. Too early introduction of inappropriate complementary foods, resulting in diminished breast milk intake, insufficient iron intake, and heightened risk of intestinal infections. Here, one point I want to tell you. Resulting in diminished breast milk. Why inappropriate complementary foods if they are inappropriate? Because the child gets attracted towards those complementary foods. So his appetite comes down. So his suckling activity at the breast reduces. So only the way a mother is stimulated to produce milk is by suckling, child suckling. And once the child's attention is diverted towards inappropriate complementary food, so naturally her output of breast milk suffers. And insufficient iron intake, and heightened risk of intestinal infections. And late introduction of appropriate complementary foods, that is iron-rich complementary foods. So what are the foods, you may ask? So green leafy vegetables, and then meat, chicken. These are the things which are not available to most of our countrymen. So we have to depend heavily on green leafy vegetables, though they have got poor bioavailability. But the main problem is that even that green leafy vegetables also are not available in plenty in different parts of the country, and people are not conscious of the value of consuming these green leafy vegetables. So host factors, adolescent and women in reproductive age group. So insufficient intake of quality and quantity iron-rich foods, iron loss during menstruation, iron loss from postpartum. So these are the things, host factors. So host factors, pregnancy increase the need of about 7 to 850 milligrams in body iron over the whole pregnancy, and lactation results in the loss of iron via breast milk. So some more host factors are malaria, and malaria parasite thrives by causing hemolysis. So naturally it is one of the most important causes of anemia in the world. And parasitic infections, just now I had told, hookworm, trichuriasis, amoebiasis, and schistosomiasis, and genetic factors. Example, thalassemia, sickle cell trait, and glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency. Host factors. Excessive quantity of iron inhibitors in diet, especially during meal times, tea, coffee, and calcium-rich foods. These are iron inhibitors. So now, the take-home message of my lecture is how prevent improving hygiene and prophylaxis. Recognize early diagnosis, clinical examination, biochemical tests. Here as a doctor, you have got a lot of role to play in the early diagnosis and then appropriate iron therapy initially and then appropriate health education. So one tip I would like to give you is green leafy vegetables, they are a little bit expensive. So invariably you have to remember that the cheapest source of green leafy vegetables is moringa leaves. Moringa leaves are in Telugu we call as munaga chettu. In Hindi it is called as chatanpa. Remember this. They are very, very cheap, inexpensive, and rich source of iron as far as vegetarian diets are concerned. Of course, non-vegetarian diets, yes. Whom all those high-risk groups in our country. Why? It will reduce the direct and indirect cause of morbidity and mortality, and also improves the efficiency of the population. Once again, I am repeating how improving hygiene and prophylaxis. Prophylaxis is dietary advice as well as iron prophylaxis, which I will be telling in the one of the classes. Recognize early diagnosis, clinical examination, biochemical tests, and treat. And so adolescent population, iron deficiency anemia, adolescent girls. So this is specifically about iron deficiency. By and large, I was talking about iron deficiency. But let us go through these slides. Iron deficiency anemia prevalence reported to vary from 56% to 90%. 67.8% to 98.5 million adolescent girls are anemic. Anemia prevalence in adult girls, according to the WHO, India, my God, it is 90%. And Thailand is 17%, Indonesia 30%. Thalassemia and sickle cell anemia, global. Estimated that around 3 lakhs to 4 lakh babies with a severe hemoglobin disorder are born each year. Worldwide, 56,000 conceptions would have a major thalassemia disorder, and among them around 30,000 would have beta thalassemia major, the majority of babies being born in middle and low income countries. The unfortunate thing is, these people require repeated transfusions. One transfusion or two transfusions of food compared to the blood. And the reason that causes iron excess actually, because there is iron restriction. So then again they require curative treatments. Thalassemia, most children are born in low income countries. Around 1.1% of the couples worldwide are at risk for having children with a hemoglobin disorder, and 2.7% per thousand conceptions are affected. Most affected children born in high income countries survive with a chronic disorder. In low income countries, children die before the age of 5 years because hemoglobin disorders contribute the equivalent of 3.4% of mortality. I have told you that there will be excess iron, and which child can get two transfusions per say 2 months or so, 2 or 3 transfusions. And then even the treatment of iron toxicity in thalassemia child is definitely very high, and even the provisions are now, facilities are now, they will be available in city centers like Hyderabad or Warangal, or I don't remember, I don't recollect any other, probably some other district headquarter towns, but chelation therapy treatment is not widely available. So the end result is most of the thalassemia children die before the age of 5 years in our country. At least 5.2% of the world population carry a significant variant. Hemoglobin S, this is accounts for 40% of carriers but causes over 80% of the disorders because of localized very high carrier prevalence. Around 85% of the sickle cell disorders and over 70% of all affected births occur in Africa. So this is sickle cell disorder, it has got a specific preference. In addition, at least 20% of the world population carry alpha plus thalassemia. We talked previously about beta thalassemia. That is the most prevalent form in our country. So beta thalassemia syndrome, say at least 1 lakh patients will be there. The average prevalence of beta thalassemia carriers is 3 to 4%, which translates to 35 to 45 million carriers. Prevalence of pathological hemoglobinopathies in India is 1.2 per 1000 live births. So 32,400 babies with a serious hemoglobin disorder born each year based on 27 million births per year in India. So 10,000 to 12,000 thalassemia children are born annually in India. The rate of homozygosity per 1000 births annually was 0.28 in Maharashtra and 0.39 in Gujarat. Say, I am giving all this for information. Say, when you go into pediatrics, you will learn more in more detail. So, for the time being, I am giving you the information. Whatever information is useful to you, please make use of it. Hemoglobin E is prevalent in the northeastern and eastern region where the frequencies of HbE carriers range from 3 to over 5%, 50%. Hemoglobin S is predominantly seen among the scheduled tribes, scheduled castes and other backward castes with carrier frequencies varying from 5 to 35%. Sickle cell anemia mostly prevalent among blacks. Malaria incidence is high. Hemoglobin S is carried by 8% of the American blacks, 1 out of 400 births of American blacks. Sickle cell disease 1,50,000 cases. Sickle cell disorders in high-income countries that provide neonatal diagnosis and care for patients most survive well into adult life. And because there is limited use of prenatal diagnosis, numbers of patients are rising steadily. So with this, I have given you a brief review of anemia, and in the next class, probably we will be talking something about vitamin A deficiency, which is another major public health problem.